Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone from Malaysia. Um, Today we are in lockdown in KL. That's where we are from at the moment, both Soo Hoo and I. So that's why you see we're both in our home background. But never mind, that doesn't change our mindset and what we can do, right? So I am Coco, the ambassador and host of FEW Ask Anything for Malaysia. And today we're going to speak to one of the experts that we invited to speak. But before I do that, let me tell you something about FEW. So every month we will do a Ask FEW Anything, where I'll be interviewing an expert to get insights on how to improve both ourselves and our businesses. So if you have any question for our expert, please feel free to ask away in the comments and we will answer any of them or as much as we can. So today we have a special guest, Soo Hoo, and if I were to read his list of credentials and achievement, I think I would take the whole show at least or all day to go through them. So I will just pick some which I think would be quite interesting for you guys to know and to start that introduction. But Soo Hoo, feel free to add to it. Okay, so he is a certified trainer for NLP, but not only that, he actually trains NLP trainers and certifies them. So if so, he's one level up to to NLP trainers, and on top of that, he also trains coaches and trainers and do certification for them as well. He's also the founding president of Malaysian Association of Professional Trainers and Coaches. Okay, that's a mouthful, but it just means that he's a very important person in the trainers and coaches world in Malaysia. Okay, and one interesting fact that he shared with me was that he actually started his own business at 25, which I guess some people in our age, that's quite early because that's where we just came out of school. We're still not quite sure what we're doing. And more people are coming out earlier to have their businesses. But what's interesting is at 28, he had 14 businesses. It's not like 4, it's like 14 businesses, okay, which he was running, which is amazing. I mean, if you take 28 and 14 businesses, it's like 2 years for each business, and he didn't really start at 0, right? But anyway, 28, 14 businesses. But at 30, he nearly went bankrupt, okay? Nearly, so he didn't, but that was quite a turning point, I guess, because at 28, you're having 14 businesses, and then at 30, you're nearly bankrupt. So how he pivoted and become what he is today and this master of masters, I guess is quite a journey. And this is what he's going to help us to do, because he's going to help us with overcoming our inner limitations and how we can break through to them. So that's what the title today is: what's holding you back from your next breakthrough and how to overcome it. And like I said at the beginning, if you have any questions about this, please let us know, because this is your chance to get the master to help you on getting to the next breakthrough. Okay, so my first question, and actually elaborate a little bit more. I'm very interested. What happened after the age of 30? What did you 25 to 20 more 14 businesses? Or were you so free and no girlfriend or something?
Actually, there's one thing I need to clarify first before I start. I don't certify NLP trainers. I certify trainers, and I certify NLP practitioners. Yeah.
Okay.
At the same time, yeah. Last year I was also one of the panel assessors to certify the Malaysian master trainers, so that they can go out and certify trainers in Malaysia. Yeah, there are about, I think, 9 to 20 of us, if I'm not mistaken, in the panel, and I'm one of the panelists to assess and certify these master trainers. So that part
Right.
I did clarify. Um, To your question, how did I do that? Within 3 years, actually, from the day I started my business, was a lot of acquisition of businesses. Um, one of my main business was a business consulting. And what I did was, when I see a very prospective business requiring my consultancy services, instead of charging them a fee, I went in to take a stake in their organization, and then I helped them grow their businesses. So one of the things I did very early on was to learn about the difference between building my business and building a business. So what's the difference? A lot of people build their own business, as in the mindset is a very freelance model, a very home-based model, a very self-driven model. That is to build a themselves in the business. For example, legal firms, accounting firms, um, medical practice, even. If they are the product itself and they're building themselves around the product, meaning the company cannot sustain without them as a product, then it is not a good model to have. um, so from a very early part of my business career, this is one of the main observation I did, and that allowed me to expand very fast into multiple businesses. um, One of the reasons I went almost bankrupt at the age of 30 was I lost ownership of my consulting business, which was the holding mechanism, right? So when I lost that, I lost focus in life, lost a lot of things in my life. So what happened since 30? I went into a bit of a downward spiral for some time. Probably about a year and a half, I went into depression. I didn't want to see people. I didn't want to meet people. I will show up in meetings like unshaven. Sometimes I don't even bathe before I go for my meetings. I was a mess, right? I was considering suicide, homicide, considering criminal activities to tie me through, all kind of thoughts came into my mind. um, and what happened was, at one point, at my lowest point, I was actually sitting in my car, getting ready to drive into the sea on Penang Bridge. And if I had done that, my wife would have gotten my insurance claims, and she will be a millionaire at that juncture. Um, while I was sitting in my car, my wife called me, and I passed the phone to my son to ask me where I am and what time I'll be home. That phone call saved me, saved my marriage, saved my family, and it allowed me to relook at what I was doing in my life. So I restructured my finances, I restructured my loans. I took about 2 years to rebuild everything. I'm still not out of my financial debts yet, because not only did I lose my business, I was in a 7-digit loan, which I'm still repaying until today. Yeah. So I had to restructure. I took one easy step. I went into network marketing, one of the easiest business to go into when you have no capital to start with. So I was in network marketing. I built it for about 2 years, and then I had a calling to be a trainer, to share my journey with people. So I left network marketing to my wife. I moved to KL, and I headed the training for a contact center. And after about 2.5 years, I became a full-time corporate trainer. So that's what I've been doing since.
Wow, very interesting story. And actually, I think it's very real as well, because I guess a lot of people will have struggled, especially in the time like now around the world. We are so used to brick and mortar businesses, and suddenly we are locked down. Those who are in tourism will have difficulties because there's no tourists. So how do we actually come out and stay positive is one of the things that I think is important, that we have the mindset when we hit failure wherever we are in life, because I guess everyone will have that downtime. But how do we pick ourselves up so that we can really break through that low level of life?
That's a interesting observation as well. I mean, this year 2020 was supposed to be my company's best year, right? Um, Even now I have multiple businesses, but my core is always still my company called Abundant Impact, right? Um, and this was supposed to be our best year to date, all right? We already signed enough contracts this year to be a seven-figure company. And 1 week before the lockdown happened in Malaysia, I was still calling my clients, and they were still assuring me that the contract will still continue. 1 week after the lockdown, I started getting emails and messages from my clients telling me that the program will still continue. So don't worry. It's just we have to postpone it indefinitely, you know. And if you ask me, postponing it indefinitely means canceling lah, right? I lost 700,000 of contracts within a week from the lockdown. We rebuilt. It took us some time. We rebuilt, and then at the at the early October and September, it was all wiped out again. So I guess a lot of people are going through a similar experience right now. It's like pivoting, but then your pivot has to be pivoted again, and then you have to pivot again. So there is a lot of uncertainty, and one of the first things I was reminded in the beginning of this year by my mentor was this: what's the worst that can happen? What's the worst that can happen? And she actually reminded me of one of the earliest program I wrote as a trainer, which is WTF, the Way to Freedom, right? And Way to Freedom, the first step is to be very, very clear of where we are right now. So for those of you who are listening in, and you're wondering like, what can you do? How can you break through? Go back to one of the most popular phone apps ever built, which is your Waze, right? In order for your Waze to function, it has to do three things. Number one, it has to know exactly where you are. If it doesn't know where you are, it won't function. Now, you can replace Waze with Google Apps or Google Map or whatever it is, right? But all of these direction giving tools, apps, it needs to know exactly where you are first. And so if you want to figure out what to do next to break through, you need to figure out exactly where you are. And when I talk about exactly where you are, what I mean is this. Number one, do you know exactly how much you need in order for you to survive, right? Let's not talk about thriving. Let's not talk about being a millionaire and all of that yet. First step, how much do you need to survive? I call this your survival number. Now, everybody has different survival numbers according to our standards in life. What is the minimum we can accept, right? And that's your survival number. As a business owner, we will have two survival numbers. One is our personal survival number. Another one is our company survival number, right? Now, if your survival number, that is for you, your family, what do you need for food? To put a roof over your head, to be able to commute to work or to your client's premises, to be able to fulfill your obligations to your office or to your clients, right? To be able to put food on the table for your family, right? To be able to clothe them. That's the minimum. To keep the lights on, to keep the water going. That's the minimum. That's your survival number. Your business survival number is how much your business needs to do exactly the same, but for the business. Now, if you removing yourself from your business means that the business cannot survive, that means the survival number of your business is very dependent on you. You actually don't have a business. What you have is a team of support staff to your freelance business, for your freelancing self. Okay, because you are the business in that sense. If your business can operate without you, then your business, you actually have a business. So that's the first step, to get clear, to get very focused on what's your survival number. The second part of that is this. The second part of the first step is this. Once you know your survival number, the question then is, can you generate your survival number? All right. So if my main business doesn't work, I got this from, I learned it first from somebody who posted about uh, people from Hong Kong and people from Japan, in where they not only have one profession, they generally tend to build another part of their business or another part of their life as a hobby, which can generate money as well, right? Okay. So what if your main business doesn't work? What is your alternative that you can use to generate your survival number? Because generating a survival number is the bottom line. Once you know that, you actually know what's the worst that can happen. If you don't have your survival number, what's the worst that can happen? No roof overhead, no food on the table. Now, once you know that, you will do whatever it takes to meet that. That's the minimum. The second part of the ways is this. Ways needs to know exactly where you want to go, right? But it needs you to key in exactly where it's going to go. You cannot key in a general location, right? So when you want to know exactly where you want to go, that's for you to decide. I want to have 1 million, I want to have this income, whatever it is. You need to get very clear. And once you get very clear, the next step of this is you need to know why you want that as your goal. Now, people don't switch on Waze and then just key in a location for fun, right? There's a reason for going to that location. And so if you have a goal, you must have a reason for going to that goal. If you don't have a reason for going to the goal, you're not going to go for it. And the stronger the reason is, the more likely you're going to get to that goal. So that's the second part of second step to Waze. The third step to Waze is this. Waze gives you multiple ways to get to your location. So you need to be very flexible in shifting your approach. If A doesn't work, plan B. Plan B doesn't work, plan C. If plan C don't work, don't worry. There's 26 alphabets, right? A very common saying at one point in time. So keep changing until you get the right approach that helps you get to where you want to go.
Right. That's very, very interesting, and actually very easy to remember now that we can think of ways, and also ways being ways, right? We can get the 3 points that we need: the starting point, the end point, and also the different ways that we can get to that point. Thank you very much for that. So we've got some questions that is surrounding. I'll go for these questions first because it's around the same topic. So the survival number, they want to know, how do you get that? How do you calculate the survival number, the magic number, as is?
Okay. So for me, it was very simple. Number one, what do I need to pay for food? All right. And for everyone, it's different. For some people, they cannot accept anything less than a restaurant or cafe food. For some people, it's like they are okay with street food. For some people, they are going to cook at home. Whichever your standards are, it's fine. But you need to know what is your standard and what is your minimum for food. What's your minimum to keep the lights on, electricity, right? What's your minimum to keep the water coming into the house, because you need to clean, right? You need to pay for the house in one form or another. If you're renting, your rental. If you are having a mortgage, your mortgage installment. Some people have asked me, so do I need to factor in my second home and third home and holiday home as my survival number? The answer is, can you live without them? If you can live without them, you don't need them. That's not for you to survive. If you can't live without them, I have two houses because I've got two families, then okay, that's your survival number, right? Okay. If you can't live without two homes because you live in one and your parents live in the other home, obviously you cannot evict your parents, so yes, then that will be included in your survival number. Okay. Do you need medical insurance? Depending on which country you're from. If you're from Malaysia, our government actually provides very good medical care. So for many years, I actually don't have medical insurance for myself. I have medical insurance for my children because I want them to have a comfortable place if they ever fall sick and has to be hospitalized. I don't have a hospital plan for myself for many years because I'm okay to live anywhere. I grew up on the streets of Penang. My parents were hawkers. My mother works as a legal clerk in the morning. At night, she runs a stall in the market. My father sells, a push noodles through a push cart, and eventually he had a van and he sells bread from his van. So I come from like, sort of like in a way the streets, and I'm okay with that. When I go traveling, I can just have my room key and $10 US in my pocket, and I can just walk anywhere. I'm okay, right? But it depends on the person's standard. For some people, I cannot live in anything smaller than, I cannot live in anything. So whatever your standard is, that's your standard. And the minimum you need to live in that standard, that's your survival number. Okay.
Thank you very much. Okay, so let's move on from that. So I have a question here. It says, I have an idea of what to do and then attempting to take action, but daily life seems to take over all the time and end up not working on the idea at all. Are there any suggestions that you can do this and move forward?
So back to WTF, right? And why I came up with this acronym WTF is like a way to freedom, right? And the first step to way to freedom is actually to know your why. Notice if the question is like how, and most people and most of the questions that came in will be, how do I do this? 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 Now, if you remove all the how, the first thing I want to challenge you with is your why. Why do you want to do it? The reason why we need to look at our survival number is because the survival number gives us a very strong why. Okay. And then notice the second part is like, okay, where do you want to go, right? What is your goal? And the first thing I ask about that is, why do you want to achieve that? Because the stronger your why, the bigger the reason for you to go to it, the more likely you're going to achieve it. Most people don't do anything to break out of where they are because there was no reason for it. And for those people who want to know how, I'm going to give you a secret website, okay? Go to this website. Anytime you have a question of how to do anything, go to this website. I guarantee you it has at least 100,000 answers, all right? It's www.youtube.com, all right? You can just go to this website and you Google or you key in the search, how do I break out of procrastination? How do I do this? And there's 1,000,001 answers for you. But the only answer that really matters is, why do you want to do it? Yeah. And some people have asked me then, so how come some people, they know why they want to do it, they can articulate it, they can say it out, but they still don't do it? And the answer is very simple. It's pain and pleasure. Tony Robbins was one of the first people who taught me this principle. He calls it neuro-associative conditioning, right? But in NLP, we believe it's one of our main filters, our decision-making filter. Everything that we do is to avoid a pain and to get pleasure. The more pain, the more likely you'll move forward. The more pleasure, the more likely you'll move towards it, right? But there is 4 questions that everybody will answer in their mind before they do anything. The first question is this: what is the pain I'm currently experiencing that I don't want to experience? Right? Like, you have an idea, but if there's no pain of your current situation, why would I want to change? Okay. The second question, so to speak, is this: What is the pleasure of this new thing that I'm going to do? If I do it, if I get it, what is the pleasure I'm going to get? Now, the pleasure of getting that must be higher than the pain of the current. And more importantly, it must be higher than the third question, which is the pain of doing that. You may be we may be in a lot of pain right now. There may be a lot of pleasure for you to to do something, but if the pain of doing it is so great, you won't do it. I'll give you an example. For many years, I said I want to lose weight. At one point in time, I was 108 kilos. 108. I was like a balloon. Okay. But there was no compelling need in my mind for me to lose any weight. My glucose was okay, blood pressure was okay, everything was okay, right? So there was no driving force. And so I can set the best goal. I can know how to lose weight. I was a weight management consultant for a part of my life, but I was 108 kilos at one time as well, right? But there was no compelling need at that juncture. And to lose weight, the pain of wanting to lose weight, of like having to diet, having to eat clean, of having to work out, the pain of that was a lot more than any pleasure I could derive from it. So I didn't lose weight. There's a fourth question that if you answer will help you go through any challenge and any breakthrough. And the fourth question is, what is a pleasure you're deriving from your current present position? You see, we are exactly where our brain wants us to be.
Mm-hmm.
We are exactly where our brain wants us to be. All the problem we are facing right now is something that the brain has anticipated. And if we are in this position and we're not happy, but we're not doing anything about it, it's because we're still deriving some form of pleasure from being where we are. Like me, for example, when I was depressed, when I was in liquidation and I had to sell off assets and all of that, I had to wind up companies and whatnot, I was still deriving some form of pleasure. What pleasure, you may ask? The pleasure of attention from my wife, attention from my parents, attention from some of my friends, maybe. I don't know. For each and every one of us, we have a different form of pleasure we're deriving. For some people who are in addiction, the attention they get whenever they are an addict is a pleasure. They won't get out of that addiction if they continue to derive a pleasure from their current position.
Okay.
There are many people who will tell you, I have great ideas, but they don't do anything about it, because when they tell you they have a great idea, you support them. So now, if they already launch it, whether they succeed or fail, they cannot tell you anymore that I have an idea and get that same attention. I know it sounds silly. I know it sounds like, Soo Hoo, are you sure? But that's exactly the problem in our brain. That's how it works.
Very true, actually. I have that. I guess I have that attention thing as well. Yeah. Very, very true. Okay, so I have a question here, and this was from someone I know. So he actually told me that this question really bugging this person for a long, long time. Okay, it says, how do I identify my own self-limiting beliefs, habits, or actions if I'm not even aware that I have them? So just for example, what you just said, that actually we like the attention when we tell people, I've got this great idea, and then, wow, everyone says, wow, that's a great idea, and then you leave it, right? And then, so what if I don't even know that I have it? What should they do?
From a commercial standpoint, get a coach. From a personal standpoint, is this: sit down and reflect. Write down exactly what you want and write down why you want it. Then write down all the reasons why you're not having it. Your reasons are the ones that's holding you back. your excuses, your you see, we call it justification, but a lot of people don't realize this, from a third person perspective, we're looking at someone, we say, oh, that one justification, excuses, it's just your story, But think about it. To the person who said it, it is 100% true. I give you an example. I run a 5-day challenge, right? And in my challenge, I lock the room, shut on time. Okay, shut on time. And I had this question before. Suhu, ayo, I was 5 minutes late only. I actually had another call to end. To him, was it true? Did he have another call to end? Yes. Was he only 5 minutes late? Yes. But that's also the reason why he is doing whatever he's doing. It's also the reason why he's staying where he's staying. He's eating what he's eating. The standards of what he's doing is that. Because his brain says that to be true. And this is the unfortunate thing. We are all mostly unaware of what's limiting us. We are all mostly unaware. And even those of us who are aware, sometimes it's more sad, right? That we are aware and we allow it to continue to hold us back because we hold on to it as a belief. It's something that we believe in. We say that it is like that. It must be like that. For example, who is to say that we must wake up early? Who is to say that we must make more money? Who is to say that we must dress well? Who is to say that we must eat well? Who is to say that rich is good? No one. Our brain created it. We created this belief. Now, if we created this belief, it means that we can change the belief, right? First, we must be aware, of course, right? And the exercise to do that will be to write down why we are not getting what we are getting. And I'm going to give you a very simple 3-step remedy. Okay, first step, write down exactly what you want. Second step, write down exactly why you're not getting it. Some people will be too old, some people too young, whatever it is, write down all the reasons why you don't have it. Okay, I don't have the money yet, or whatever it is, write it all down. Okay, and the third step is this: write down what it has cost you, what all these stories, this number 2, the answers for number 2, all these reasons, what has these reasons cost you, C-O-S-T, cost you, because the stories that you believe stop you from getting the first answer, which is what you want.
I like that. And I think we really need to be very honest with ourselves and look deep, because sometimes we lie to ourselves, right? So that we don't see it. Okay, it's okay to be late. It's okay that I'm not losing the weight, even though I'm overweight, I know, and blah, blah, blah. It's okay. I love my food. So it's just like we have to be very, very brutally honest. And that is the time when you said, actually finding a coach will help you realize those things, because sometimes we know it, but we don't want to dig it out, I think. Mm-hmm. So whether we do it ourselves, if we have the ability to actually face the truth, or not, then get a coach or something. Okay, very good. Okay, so next one is, many people say find your passion and do what you're passionate about. But when I'm looking at finding my passion, I can not think of anything. So what to do?
So first thing I'm going to say this: passion does not pay. All right. So don't listen to what people tell you that you find your passion and do it and you'll make money. Okay, because you may be very passionate about singing, but the only reason people will pay you is to stop. All right. So people don't pay you for what you're passionate about. In fact, to be honest, people don't care what you're passionate about. People will pay you for a solution you offer to them. Whether you like it or not, everybody in this world is thinking about themselves first. It's the most basic of all human nature is to keep you alive. And in order to keep you alive, one of the things it must do is it must think of yourself first. All right? I don't care how selfless you are. If I show you a group photo right now, the first photo you're going to look out for is you. The second photo you look out for maybe is your crush, right? Okay? But you're going to look out for you first. Why? Because that's a embedded human need. Okay. Now, the reason why it's embedded is a whole long explanation to it. But when you approach people with your passion, they don't care. What they want to know is what can you do for them that will solve a problem they have, and they'll pay you.
Mm.
So finding a passion, it won't pay. In fact, I always tell people this, right? What you're passionate about that doesn't pay, that's your hobby. Okay. If you do what pays you well, but you're not passionate about, you at least have a job, right? You may not be very happy, but you have a job. Okay. If you're doing what you like, you're passionate about, and you're getting paid well, then you have got a career or a business that you can build on. Okay. If you're doing something you like and it's losing money, it's causing you to lose money. Okay. That's not even a hobby, that's called a charity. Okay. So you need to find something that makes you money. That's the first step. If you enjoy it, better. Now, what if what you enjoy doing, you can't make money from? Then you make money doing what you don't enjoy first. Invest that into upskilling yourself so that you get paid well to do what you're passionate about. For some people, they ask me, Soo Hoo, I no longer have a passion. I don't even know what I'm passionate about. Then the question for you is this: if money is not a problem, that's why we always look at survival number, right? If you can meet your survival number, money is not a problem. Okay. If you can do anything you want and money is not a problem, what is it that you really want to do? If you can't think of something, then the second way to do it is to think about what you wanted to do when you were young. You see, when I was young, I want to be a pirate, not a pilot. Okay, I want to be a pirate. And what pirate means to me is a person who's free to do whatever he wants. So when I grew up and I built my own businesses and I do what I do right now, I'm still a pirate in my mind. I still do what I want, regardless of what is the social context, or of course I follow the law, but I do it in a way where the way I think is the way to do it, regardless of what the monetary repercussions is going to be. Okay, so if you still can't do that, you can't think of what you really want if money is not object. You cannot think of what you want to do when you're a child. The third thing is list down all the things you don't want to do. List down all the things that you're not enjoying doing. Okay, write that all down, and then start experimenting. Do anything. And if you find that you don't enjoy doing that, do anything else. Don't enjoy doing that, do anything else until you can find what you enjoy doing.
Mm.
Now, that will only work if you're still young. Yeah. If you're a bit more advanced in age, you may not have that many years to do that many things that you don't enjoy doing. Okay. Don't have that many years to experiment. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so that brings me to actually one of the questions. Okay, so it says this person has come to a point where they're not sure where to go, had their own company for a few years, but because of the pandemic, they had to close it, and now not sure how to start again, feel very unmotivated, even though in the heart, she knows that she has to do something again. So, yeah, what should she do? And she's not young anymore. This is what she's feeling.
Okay. So first things first, right? I mean, from a motivation standpoint, I can tell you the Colonel Sanders story where he started his business when he's 65. Or I can tell you, the Tun Mahathir story where he became prime minister again at the age of 93, or whatever age is it. But that's not going to help you, okay? It's not going to help you, because the first things first is you need to understand what is your why. Why do you want to build something? Because you said, whoever asked that question said this, I know in my heart I have to start something. The question is, why do you have to start something? Second thing is this: do you know your survival number? Right? Are you able to meet your survival number? If you're able to meet your survival number and you know the reason for you to start something else, go for it. Age is not a big thing. In fact, I will say the first step for anyone who's just like lost a job or lost a business, okay, these are the three things that you must do. Number one, you must grieve. What do I mean by grieve? You must actually take, however long you need. Okay. Grieving process sometimes can last up to 6 months. And the more you suppress the grief, the more it's going to last longer. Okay. Grieving basically means cry it all out if you need to. I know some of the men are like more macho, right? Cannot cry, right? Just go to the toilet, switch on your shower, sit there, cry for 3 hours if you need to. Why? Because it takes a lot more energy to keep emotions suppressed than to have it internalized and dissipated. Okay? So grief, first step. Second step, celebrate. You lost a job, great. You lost a business, wonderful. Why? Because it's a great opportunity to start again. Now, especially for those people who tell me my job, I lost my job, Soo Hoo. How? And I ask them, for years, have you ever complained about your job? Yeah, I hate it. Then why are you complaining now? It's a wonderful opportunity to restart. Now, people are afraid to restart because they're afraid of uncertainty. Uncertainty causes stress in the body. So when you do your survival number, it gives you certainty, and that will remove the stress. The stress, when you remove it, will allow your mind to be clearer in what it wants to do. Otherwise, you'll be doing this and that and this and that and this and that, and you never get anywhere. All right. My wife always jokes with me that I have the ability to sense when people have like depression and all that. And I realize one of the reasons is because I can identify the symptoms. One of the symptoms is when they talk, it takes a very high level of wisdom to understand them because they don't seem to understand themselves either. They seem to be all over the place sometimes. They seem to be like talking about A and then they say A is good and then A is also bad. And the reason for all of that is because in their body, there's a lot of uncertainty and a hormone is being pumped and they are in a fight or flight mindset. So
Okay,
that's
so
one of
I'll
the reasons.
stop
Yeah.
there because we've got 3 more minutes, and there's
Sure.
one more quite interesting question that I'll
Okay.
give you 1 minute to answer. Okay, so it says, on this earth there are genius and successful people that are solving complex problems such as global warming, blah, 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 and technology to change the world. So this person feels that we're doing okay, we're above average, we should be contented. But at the same time, how do we take ourselves to another level, to the global scale, and become world leaders? So it's like breaking through to the top tier.
Again, my question is why?
What
why?
do you want
Why
to
do
do?
you want? Why do you want to break through? If you are contented where you are, okay, right?
Mm,
And then people say not everyone is meant to. No, it's not true. You see, the end of the day, the question always remains this. To me, at least to me, who will cry at my funeral? These are the only people that matters.
mm. So all the talks that people tell us that we should leave something for the world, give back to the world, and
If I can leave something for one person and I can give back to that one person, it means the world to that person.
mm,
And when I can do it for one person, I can multiply to a second person and a third person and a fourth person and a fifth person. Jesus had 12 disciples. 12 disciples. Of course, he had a lot of followers, but had 12 disciples.
okay, I get it. Okay, so anyway, I mean, we can go on for hours on this topic, and I think it's very interesting, and thank you for sharing all your insights. So
My pleasure.
so my summary would be, first of all, we have to decide on, in order to break through, we need to know where we're at, where we're going, and the different ways that we can get there. We have to work out our survival number and at least get that done, because that is something, if we don't have that, we're dead, right? So we can't really do much after that. But the why is the big one. Why do we want to get to where we get to? Why? And in order to do that, we have to be very honest, write down what we want to do, why we're not getting that, and why we want that at the end of the day. And if in doubt, find a coach or find someone who can be honest with you and to tell you in blunt truth what you should be doing or actually get you there. But thank you so much for today's session, and I hope everyone has gotten something out of this session with Soo Hoo. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to keep asking us and we'll try and get back to you. And at the same time, please do join our membership, FEW membership, which is in the link, so that you can get more updates from us and join our FEW anything every week because we have it. But for Malaysia, we have it once a month. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Soo Hoo. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you.